Alright guys, Abby here. Today we're going to be talking about the 3 common mistakes that I see in most freestylers. So the first mistake is what happens on entry. So the reality is when the hand is coming up through the recovery, you want to enter with your middle finger entering first, followed by your wrist, followed by your elbow. A lot of times I see with masters athletes coming in and around and entering with their thumb. What this does is it causes for that first quarter of your pull to be slicing through the water. You're not actually grabbing and holding on to any water. So in order to correct this, you want to make sure that when you're coming around in your recovery, you're swinging the wrist, so that way you're setting up for the palm and the forearm to be your anchor or the paddle against the water, so that way you actually move water behind you so you go forward. The second common mistake that I see is what happens with the rotation. So rotation is different comparatively to people that have running, cycling, or even any sort of other fitness backgrounds, because you're moving from side to side. So if you've spent the majority of your life a marathon runner, you're used to moving forward and backwards. You're not necessarily used to moving right to left. So when you're rotating in freestyle, you're basically rotating around your longitudinal axis, which is, if someone put a pole through the top of my head and cut me straight through my body, I would be rotating around that pole as I'm swimming down the pool. The reality is most people don't rotate enough, and what that does is it causes you to swim flat, and it also doesn't help your pull get any stronger. So what rotation does is it's basically like a washing machine. At the very end of the washing cycle, it spins super fast and it wicks water away from all the clothes. What that does is essentially doesn't allow the clothes to be super wet when you open them up and put them into their dryer, so they're just slightly damp. Same thing happens with your body when you're in freestyle. As you're rotating from side to side, you can see right now, I'm moving water away from my body in all directions. At one point during the pull, my hip and my arm actually make contact with water, so I'm coupling 2 groups of water together, which means that I move more water back behind my body, which means that I move forward further, and I also move forward faster. So basically about halfway through the pull, my right hip chucks water at my right hand's pulling arm, and from there I grab a hold on both of those water groups and I push that backwards, which means that I go forward and at a faster rate. So rotation is super important, and learning how to rotate will really improve your freestyle because it makes your pull stronger. The third common thing that I see in freestyle is people dropping their elbows and not actually keeping the elbows up. So no matter what type of pull you use, either a high elbow, a hybrid, or a straight arm pull, you never move back with the elbow first. So the analogy I like to use for people that do move back with elbow first is it's kind of like petting a cat. So you pet a cat, you're dropping the elbow, you're kind of gliding the hand on top of its coat, and this is the same thing that you'll see with swimmers who are dropping their elbow first and then going into their pull. The reality is the only part of your body that's actually pushing it against any water will be the tip of your elbow, which means that that surface area is super small, so you don't move much water, you don't go very far, and you're not going to go very far very fast. So in order to set that up well, you want to drop the hand in, pop the elbow up, and then from there you're going to anchor what we said earlier with the entry, the palm and the forearm against the water, so you can push water behind the body, which means that you go forward more, obviously, and at a faster rate.